There's an esoteric saying which is, as above, so below. It allows us to speculate what is above, which is the sky, and below, which is our earth. As we have entered a new age in the 21st century of new amazing discoveries in the universe, and as we're paying more attention to the earth, the concept of above and below can be very interesting and fascinating nowadays. I'm Agneta Borstein. I'm an astrologer, and I'm pleased to welcome you to this program, From the Sky to Earth. Today we're going to talk about the 12 zodiac signs. It will be part one, because there is the 12 zodiac sign, which always takes a little while for our segment, but we're going to divide them by elements. And as we know, the 12 zodiac signs are circulating on the huge, enormous ecliptic. So we have that as the foundation, as in the olden days, timeless past. The seers will look up in the sky and define the zodiac signs. So they all are divided into 30 degrees, 30 sector, and that will be 12 signs. So today we're going to talk about the first 6 of them. No, not first 6 of them, but the element. We're going to take 6 today, and the episode 2 will be the other one. So I hope you come back and see the continuation of how we interpret the sky and bring it down to earth. So the symbols, you don't have to learn them, but we have fire signs from the point of Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. That's the fire signs. Earth sign, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. And then the next episode, just so that you come back, will be the air sign, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And then water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. So we take the first fire sign. That's a lot of energy in the fire sign of Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius. So if you don't know your sun sign, which most people do know nowadays, including young people, because they talk, what is your sun sign? That's how we start astrology. We can also, for future reference, we can divide all the different sectors into 10 planets. So when we then see Aries, basically March 21st through April 21st, Leo, July 21st through August 21st. And then we have Sagittarius, November 21st through December 21st. Basically, the fire then would be inspirational. There's a lot of energy in fire, as we know, and also sometimes fire is just too much, but they're also energetic and impulsive at times. They can be very direct in their way of communicating, and basically very outgoing and enthusiastic about what they need to talk about. So if you don't know your sun sign, there is so many sources in the internet nowadays. You can go to astrolabe.com, or you can just search Zodiac, and there's free resources. The reason why sometimes the moves from March 20th through April 21st, if you will, the tropical zodiacs are based on the first sign of Aries. So Aries, of course, is the one that comes first. Always. It's the first sign that we work with when we work with astrology. So Aries, the ram, most zodiac signs are derived from animal symbols, and the whole constellation is sometimes a little mysterious where they come from, but it's old, ancient symbols that we still deal with today, and of course use our computers. So the Aries is a fire sign, as we mentioned. Very ambitious, always have something on the go, is a pioneer. In the process of being a pioneer, a lot of invention comes to the mind of Aries. Headstrong, it rules the head. That's the part of being in the head, and very impulsive. But also, they are adventurous. Come on, let's go already. They have a lot of versatile aspects to them. And also, they're very eager to deliver their ambition, their ideas, and they're very courageous. As a matter of fact, sometimes Aries is a little too adventurous, where they don't finish some of the project that is being going on, or do they finish it? Of course, but if you have that area, sometimes you have more than the sun sign in Aries. Basically, fundamentally, we deal with 10 planets, so of course sun is not a planet. The sun and moon are luminaries that give us the light, so the sun itself is powerful. So the Aries sometimes can get a little selfish. We always have those little things in the zodiacs, and we try not to discriminate. But Aries would say, when you go on a trip, on a bus trip or a boat trip or anywhere, when they get tired, when that fire burns out, everybody has to go back to the hotel. So we go. Sometimes we have to speak up about those little things that happens to perhaps all zodiac sign, but it's in the fire. So the next in the element of fire, in that when we look at that whole zodiac sign, is the sign Leo, the lion. Lion can be, or the Leo, the lion, of course, can hang out in his process of just being in the jungle and hanging out and be sleepy because he already had his meal, or she. But they can also be very hungry. So there is that fire of their personalities. They can be splashy. They like gold and the nice gold jewelry, if it was the Leo. So the ego can sometimes come in to be a little egotistic. They need to know that they are the center of attention in the room. Can be a little arrogant. One thing about astrology is not easy to guess a sun sign. But I was at a party a few years ago where this gentleman asked me, I guess you don't know my sun sign. So I just looked at him for a few seconds. I said, you're a triple Leo. And that was the truth, which means a triple Leo. He has the sun in Leo, the moon in Leo, and his ascendant, which was personality. So it was just a little too much ego for me not to guess it. So the Leo comes into a part of being just really beautiful, creative. Leo loves children, rules children in the fundamental part of the ABC of astrology. So they are very self-sufficient about being creative and take care of matters. Their strength becomes, as an addition into whatever needs to be done, said. They are generous in their approach to life. They have a lot to give. And something like the regal part of Leo is also interesting to notice. As I said earlier, they are very creative. For example, interior designer has this touch of colors, of putting things together. And also, we can take a few, not to say we have to do a person that would be actor or actress, but I just took a few samples of the Leo. For example, President Obama is a Leo. Madonna is a Leo. She's very creative, and she's not going to give up soon, anytime, to have that enthusiastic spark around her to continue being creative. Whitney Houston was a Leo. And sometimes with a lot of Leos, they also have to develop their strength, just like in Aries. It's not that everybody has it already. It's a development state, an acknowledgement about that positive and negative. Mick Jagger, favorite of mine, he's a Leo, and you can see how he early on stood on that stage and had a lot of power to deliver his songs and his success. I guess he was also into the business, and that's also part of Leo. They like to be creative and assertive in their delivery. Bill Clinton is a Leo. Don't have to be president to be a Leo, but they take on roles of leaderships. The next sign, that is the fire sign, is Sagittarius. Now, Sagittarius is an interesting symbol. We have just a symbol of an arrow here. Of course, it's nobody shooting with an arrow at anybody, but the part of it is that is a centaur. So often it's depicted as a man or a woman, and a horse and the face of a man or a woman, but always with an arrow, shooting to become more knowledgeable. They love to travel and study, and getting into those things about knowledge, about how much more we can learn by the knowledge of shooting that arrow to learn more. They can be a little restless. because of the fire, but also want to go, go, go. And so they are outspoken many times. Also, it's kind of not nice of me to say that they are dishonest, just at times. But it's this way that when they know they want to have that attention as fire-like, and Sagittarius act as if they know. That's what the dishonesty is. Like, for example, the salesperson in the Zodiac, that's the Sagittarius. And my own little personal bad joke is that they would sell their own grandmothers. Not good. But they are very enthusiastic. They have a lot to say in that process of what can be done in society nowadays. Flirtatious, yes. Perhaps they are also the sign that likes to stay as an what is that called? You don't get married. You just want to be on your own. You're a bachelor or bachelorette. Eventually they get caught, but they like to have their independent way of traveling and do what they have to do. They are optimistic in their approach. They often are looking at a teacher or even preachers because they have this vision about the future that they want to relate to us, perhaps. Some typical or some famous people with sun in Sagittarius is Brad Pitt, Taylor Swift, which she writes a lot of her own music, so there is that they need to express what's in their mind. Jimi Hendrix was also very creative in his approach to breaking through with his type of music. Steven Spielberg, who continues coming out with movies over and over, and also, of course, with success. That's very good. Pope Francis, which I have studied a little bit about, I find that interesting with the Sagittarius because he really doesn't care what the world is saying or thinking about him. He's changing, and hopefully for the better, that the religion of the Catholicism might re-enter a more confined or the reliable source. Sagittarius rules sports and games, so it's always about moving forward, the travel plan, like we said, and that's a good sign. They all are good. So that's all the 3 fire signs. When we come to the earth signs, we have a whole different way of looking at, because in an astrological chart you might have fire, but there's also the earth quality that balances. Nothing is off balance. It's just a matter of fact, we many times say that we choose our own reality, our own chart, that is, too. So the earth planets are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Taurus would then be April 21st through May 21st, and Virgo is in the time frame of August 21st through September 21st. Capricorn, December 21st through January 21st. So most of the time, of course, we're going to see the earth sign, of course, earth, practical, realistic. They are cautious at times because they walk earth with some kind of not resistant but persistent, and they are very patient. They take their time. They take their time onto the responsibility that comes their way, and in that very persistent. So when we then go into each individual earth sign, the first one is Taurus, the bull. Well, is that the bull is slow at times, a little stubborn, but also very opinionated. It's very hard to break that bull. It rules the neck, so it's that kind of power of persistence, and so they like to have things in life. So there's a certain materialistic side that they consistently say, no, I'm not going to spend that money, but I will have to, see how that will go with, I just have to do this piece that fell out of me, sorry. So, sorry about that, it's this technical part. They're very methodical and competent about what they have in their task at hand. They're very affectionate. It rules Venus, so they have this very way of looking at the way of showing their affection, whether it's slow and safe. It's also tranquil energy around them. Except that when Taurus gets that with a red flag or little flag in front of them, or something gets them really upset and angry, it's not good to be around them. Many years ago, I taught a little class in a school, and there was a little boy raised his hand and he said, "Yeah, my father is a Taurus, and when he gets mad, I run into the closet." Just a few times a year is okay, but it's also the way of Taurus being practical and realistic. Typical, we have George Clooney, got married very late in life, so recently. Audrey Hepburn, steady in her acting capacity. Mark Zuckerberg is a Taurus, so he will have that kind of security no matter what he turns out to play his soccer. David Beckham is also, David Beckham is is a soccer player, not Mark. Well, he might play soccer, I don't know. Jack Nicholson is a Taurus, and this horn on it always comes back as the symbol of Taurus. The next element of the earth is Virgo. Now, Virgo can sometimes be a little critical, can be very worried about things and skeptical, so sometimes it can be a little like cynical around them. It's not because they are mean people, it's just because they have this worrisome, they rule the nerves, and sometimes it's just a matter of how they are perceived they like to be perfect, they like the perfectionist. And so they are attentive, very good attentive to details, very clever in their delivery, and they can take projects and find all the little details that needs to be finished and put projects together and come out with excellent results. They are very organized in that, in their kitchen, in their drawers, and all this different connotation that we have with Virgo. They are very health oriented, but at times there's just too many vitamins lined up in front of them, so they don't take any. And also the way of looking at the Virgo, there is a saying that I don't see the trees because of the forest. Virgo goes, I don't see the forest because of the trees, because they can't make up what side to actually decide. But as the result, they always look good when they step out from the door, out in the world. And Virgos are good. You might have, all of us have some of the zodiac sign around our astrological basic wheel. The Capricorn, strong, an earth sign, pessimistic, allowing him to be sometimes just on a time, actually it rules time, a little cold, at times thrifty, but also controlling at times. The other one is that they are very methodical and precise and practical. They like success, even if it takes them a long time to get to success. They also take this into account that hardworking pays off, dependable pays off. So some of the Capricorn individuals could have, if it is fine, sometimes there is issues with the bones, because Capricorn rules the bones, structures, the teeth, the way of being the foundation in us. They are the structural part of delivering right. For example, some of the Capricorn example that I have, and I will get back to the Virgo example that I forgot. So we have Michelle Obama. She's a Capricorn. Martin Luther King, that wouldn't give up on his vision and desire for whatever social injustices that he saw. Elvis Presley was a Capricorn. And also Isaac Newton, which is far from this time around, but is also the mathematician, the astronomer that just continued doing his research, and we are still looking back at some material that he came up with so many years ago. Stephen Hawking, I hope you have seen the movie about his life or know about his life. The astrophysicists continue, the endurance of his life is just totally amazing. So when we go back just for a second to Virgo and see some more or less famous people, that Virgo, Michael Jackson was a Virgo. His moon was in Pisces, so there you have that other side that later on we're going to talk about the moon and its different aspects of what that means. But his sun was in Virgo. And so was Amy Winehouse. I found that sometimes Virgo and polarity of Pisces come into addiction and whatever else that takes us. Stephen King was a Virgo, is a Virgo rather, and also Warren Buffett. So you have the earth signs as being very precise about how they want to kind of deliver their way of conclusion in their lives, but only the sun sign is just one, and it is known that many of us, myself including at times, look at those little newspaper article and we find little tidbits, because 1 out of the 30 degrees that the sun stays in at one point will affect us on some level. But we also have, when we see the whole chart, which I hope you come back to visit from the sky to earth, with more information about what we can do with astrology and its practical applications. And with that part of allowing astrology to be integrated into life is also part of allowing us not to be so stuck with that meaning the language of astrology, but to allow the incorporation of the positive and the negative part of yin and yang, if you will, and take astrology as a tool to see the zodiac sign as we did today. We went through the fire sign and we went through the earth sign. Next episode of From the Sky to Earth, we're going to continue in part 2, and we're going to go through the earth, the air, and the water signs in the same segment as we did today. And if you don't know your chart or have just come in to visit us at the end of this show segment, you can find your information very easily nowadays on your TV, your computer, and find out different ways. There's so much on the internet nowadays. And so I think that I'm going to just mention, I think I forgot the Aries typical personality. Aries is Lady Gaga, Marlon Brando, Elton John, and Diana Ross, just for you to know that. So it's been my pleasure to have you here at my show, From the Sky to Earth, and I welcome you back to the episode 2 that will follow. And we want to thank so much the Nutmeg Television for allowing us to bring programs of our thoughts, our practice, and our hobbies at times. So thank you for joining me today. I'm Agneta Borstein. Thank you.